Creamer Media's Policy, I'm Sashnee Moodley. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss discovering ethical values to guide political struggle. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
When you speak of the ANC having represented a moral force in the past, are you not exaggerating?
You know, I think we must remember that apartheid was declared a crime against humanity. And it wasn't just one or two people who thought that apartheid was wrong, but was internationally regarded as something that was immoral. South Africa was referred to by some apartheid minister as the polecat of the world. And in the forces that opposed apartheid, the ANC and its allies were in the forefront, although there was a struggle against apartheid at a number of different levels. There were liberals, there were members of civil society at certain points, and there was this international struggle. But the ANC was there all the time, and it had considerable moral authority in this period. And this was partly because of the types of people who had been its leaders. People like Chief Luthuli, Walter Sisulu, Mandela, Albertina and Walter Sisulu, Yusuf Dadu, Ruth First. You can name those people. They are all exemplary people. Bram Fischer, who people say could have become the Prime Minister or the President of the country. Instead, he died a prisoner. And in consequence, when I was growing up, I looked at these people and I thought these were human beings whose example I would want to emulate. They were examples. If you have a child, you can say, this is the type of person that you should try to be when you grow up. They had this integrity, they had this willingness to suffer on behalf of the people of South Africa. Now, I don't think there's an exaggeration about that, because it was a very, very long time. The ANC is over 100 years old. It exists in some people's minds as almost a part of their family. A lot of people, when they were questioned at the time of the campaign for the Freedom Charter and asked to join the ANC, their reply was, why must we join? We are ANC. So that, in a sense, you inherited it culturally as part of your life as a member of a certain family and social group. And I think it would be no exaggeration to say the ANC did bear these moral values at the time of its unbanning. What we have seen in the years that have followed, unfortunately, has been an unraveling of that moral standing in the eyes of very many people. This didn't start with Zuma. It started even in the period of Mandela, not with Mandela himself, but with some members of the ANC. I think we've got to understand that being a member of an illegal organization is very different from coming into a situation where you have opportunities to do things other than fight the enemy and to acquire things that improve the quality of your life, even if it's at the expense of the public's monies. And some people have grasped that. So there has been an undermining of what was undoubtedly a high moral standing of the ANC.
Is it possible to draw on that ethical component now, in this period when many people have been enriching themselves and hardly seem to represent ethical values?
Yeah, you know, it's not like the Constitution is a text, the ANC Constitution is a text, but there is not a text of ethics. They may well say somewhere that people must ANC members must demonstrate the highest ethical values. I haven't read the ANC constitution lately, but that doesn't tell you exactly what you must do, what the components of that ethical life ought to be. And what I've been trying to do in the things I've been writing is to say the ANC represented something in the eyes of very many people. Let's look at let's disaggregate, let's break that down, let's say, what does that mean? And I gave some examples like selflessness, humility, willingness to listen to people, to learn from people. And I think there's a lot of people haven't really discussed the ANC in these terms. When you talk to them about ethics, they want to change the subject back to second transition or modes of production or the attack on the treasury or things like this. What I think we've got to be asking ourselves is, are the values that we want to embody in politics not very similar to the values that you want in interpersonal relations between lovers, between life partners, a caring for one another, concern, an unwillingness to hurt another person? Now, if you look at Marikana, for example, it's an extreme example, but you can relate it to that, that under the ANC-led government, there was killing of people, not in self-defense, not because they had to use arms, and also insofar as they have taken some responsibility, they've not really been sufficiently sensitive, in my view, to the bereaved. They're fighting over compensation in a very unseemly way. Now, in the past, one of the things that one would find characterized some people, like Winnie Madikizela Mandela, whatever her controversiality, if there was a bereaved family, she would be one of the first to go there. Nelson Mandela would be one of the first to go there. And I think this is something, what you were asking me, the answer really is to translate how you would like to be treated by other people in your personal life into political life. Now, obviously, there are complexities like conforming to the Public Finance Management Act and various things like that. But ultimately, whether or not you conform to that act, whether or not you deviate and do irregularities, do irregular actions, relates to whether you're observing basic respect for human beings and integrity in regard to those things which have been entrusted to you. So that would be how we tackle it.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Policy about discovering ethical values to guide political struggle.